Professor Chew. Welcome to week 5 of medical terminology and something a little different. I have made a presentation about why it's helpful to know a little about the Greek alphabet in analyzing medical terms and in understanding why different kinds of combining forms, the verbs, nouns, prepositions, adjectives from ancient Greek add up to the medical terms we use today. As always, please let me know if you have any questions. You know where to find me via email. And have a really good week. Here's a few reasons why it's helpful to know a little about the Greek alphabet when analyzing medical terms. Here's the Greek alphabet: alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta. And those are the English letters written below them. Eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu. Over here we have the little mark over the E to show that it's a long E. Nu, psi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma. I've highlighted this letter psi. It is what is sometimes called a double consonant because it has two sounds in it, the K and the S, psi. In English, though, psi is often transliterated as an X. That's a little bit confusing because tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Greek has a letter, chi, which looks an awful lot like our X, but is pronounced as a chi. And when Greek letters with the chi when Greek words with a chi are used in English words, the chi turns into the ch. A good example of this is the English word Christmas. Christmas can be abbreviated as Xmas, and the X in this case comes from the ch in Christmas, from Christ. I've also highlighted what's called the upsilon. It's a U sound in ancient Greek. It is transliterated as a Y, which is a little confusing. In English, of course, we associate the letter Y with the letter I. But think in Greek, upsilon is transliterated as Y. A good example is the English word physiology. It's from two Greek words, physis, which means nature, and logos. And you can see here the upsilon has become a Y. Just to reiterate, the psi is an X sound in English, giving us words like anaphylaxis. But the chi, which looks like an X, is a hard K sound in English, giving us words like echogram. Another point to keep track of is that Greek has no letter for H, instead uses a punctuation mark called the rough breathing. Looks sort of like a backwards apostrophe. And in Greek, the rough breathing is placed over a vowel to indicate the H sound. Thus we have the Greek word blood, chyma. If you look closely, you can see that there is the rough breathing over the iota, the I. And that's why we have two combining forms from this Greek word chyma that both mean blood, hem and M. Greek uses some combinations of consonants also, some of which are not found in English. An example is M plus N in a word like amnesia. Another example is P plus T, giving us a word like kolopatosis. So notice in Greek, these consonants would actually be pronounced together. And then S plus TH, as in the word neurasthenia. Keep in mind also that the TH in ancient Greek is the letter theta. So we sometimes might think of a TH as a double consonant, thinking in English. It's not a double consonant in ancient Greek. On top of this, Greek has double consonants, that is, i.e. consonants that have the sound of two letters. examples of this are, again, Xi, it's a K plus S, and Psi, P plus S. And just to reiterate, these are different from what we would consider double consonants in English. We tend to think that the P and the H, because we write those letters together to give us the F sound, or TH, we write them together to give us the th sound, that they're double because they have two letters. But in ancient Greek, the F sound from PH is one letter, it's a phi, and the TH again is one letter, it's a theta. Just want to make a note when you're doing your word analysis exercises and thinking about these ancient Greek roots and how they become English words. When these letters, the Xi and the Psi, occur in the middle of an English word, they are pronounced to indicate the two different consonant sounds. So in other words, in the original Greek word, the Xi is one letter, Psi is one letter. When we pronounce them, though, the two consonant sounds can be heard. As an example, toxophylaxin, so you can hear the KS sound in the second part of the word, and also sepsis. Now keep in mind, when you're analyzing these terms, you should break them up like this. Toxophylaxin, keep the consonant with the earlier part of the word, and sepsis. So notice here with these word analyses that the way they've been broken up is different from the pronunciation of the words in English. I've noted in some of your homework that occasionally someone does an exercise in which the word analysis is actually the pronunciation for the word. That's incorrect. When you're breaking the words into the parts, it often doesn't align with the way you pronounce the word, because what we're trying to show with the word analysis is the Greek roots of the word. Finally, we have a number of combining forms that in English have different letters at their endings. It could be C or X or a G even. Now, often when we see these combining forms put into medical terms, they end up having an X, as they do in these terms. The reason that these combining forms have these different endings and that they end up with this X when they end up in a medical term is because the original Greek word had some kind of Xi, that K plus S sound. So sometimes the Xi, when it's to indicate the combining form to you, you end up seeing the C here, but also the X, C and the X, the C, occasionally a C and a G. That can be kind of confusing, I think. It's actually confusing, this business about the letters, to students who learn Greek too. I hope that this explanation is not confusing you more, but I just wanted you to get a little bit more of a sense why the combining forms that you're learning can turn into something that looks a little bit different as it does in these words. As always, please let me know if you have any questions. And that's why it's helpful to learn the Greek alphabet.